Hello, welcome back to the channel. And if this is your first time watching, I'm currently fixing up this old excavator. Get a quick look at the current state of things. That's how things currently look in there. It's missing a few components, but that's why we're here, I guess. So if you missed the last video, I got the control block or the valve block or whatever you call it pulled apart. And the goal for this one is to rebuild it with new seals and hopefully not find any more problems with it. Shouldn't be too bad, just kind of a assembly is reverse of disassembly type situation. It's really foggy out here. Okay, so if you saw the previous video, you'll know that I put a bore scope down here. This is where all the spools go. There's 7 of them. And there was a little bit of rust, like a little ring of rust around each section all the way down just from water being in the system. So the first thing I want to do is clean that rust out. And the goal here is to remove no material out of these bores, no metal at least. I mean, rust is okay, but these are extremely tightly tolerant to the spools, and you don't want to remove any material from what I've been told. So there's 2 different sizes of spool holes here. These 4 are 25 millimeter, and then these 3 are 0.7 inches. So I got some wooden dowels here, and I think, what size is this? This is a 5/8. Yeah, that should fit. And then it's I think it's too big for that one. What's this? This is a 1/2. That's probably too big too. Well, we'll give that a shot. In fact, I think the 1/2 might work best here. This is the wrong saw to be using for this, but whatever. This is gray, which is ultra fine. Okay. So if these all fold around, yeah, these need to be cut way back. Probably angle it so it goes in and out of the sections okay. I don't know. Oh, that might work. Oh, that zip tie is too big. It's wanting to ride. What is it hitting? Let's alternate them. That'll work. A lot of people were suggesting using a brake hone on here. And once again, I want to remove as little material as possible. And I just want to remove the light rust that's on there, that's all. There's a bunch of passages in there, in between the bore there. So it has to be able to jump in between those really easily. For lubrication, I'll be using gasoline. On slow. Just put it on fast speed, I guess. See how it looks here. It needs some more honing, or whatever this is, scuffing. Okay, I've been working this thing for about 5 minutes. Let's see how it looks. Ooh, that looks a lot better. A little bit of a ring there. That one looks really good. That one looks really good. That one looks good. Let's check the boom, which was the worst one by far. A little bit there, not too bad. A lot of gunk in there I can see. This is a big improvement. It might not seem like that, but... So I'm going to keep working this for a while, and then I think this is actually going to be okay. Okay, I finished with these, and then on these three, which are way smaller, I basically just, well, it broke, but I took off one of the pads, and I mean, it's wood, so I'm not really worried about scratching. That one looks pretty clean. It's really hard to, I can't focus, I apologize. That one looks pretty good though. A little bit of a ring there, but that's probably, let's check over here. This is going to be even worse focused. So these are the smaller bores. That one looks decent. A couple of little tiny rust spots there, a little ring there. I don't know, I can't see anything in there. That looks okay, but it's so unfocused I can't tell. I can see the cross hatching on there still. Yep. Let's get that up. One thing I missed in the previous video, if you look in there, you can see something. I think that's part of the main relief valve. And you can see it right there. Maybe if I push right there, let's give that a shot. I need to get it out of here. Oh. That's what we were missing. Okay, I had a few different ideas on how to clean this thing out, but just, I guess it's Providence, my machine shop called me today saying that the block was ready to pick up. So I'm going to try to get them to hot tank this thing when I go in to get the block, and hopefully, you know, for 20, 40 bucks or whatever, they'll do it for me. So I'm going to pull all these fittings off, and I should probably, even though it's getting hot tanked, I should probably clean off, like, these little rings are from leftover from O-rings, so I should probably scuff those off because they don't come off easy. I know that from experience. Missed a couple plugs here. Trying to be as gentle as possible on these surfaces, but this old O-ring material really does need to go. So you can see like on this flange, the O-ring is completely gone, but it's you can see some pitting underneath. Hopefully that's okay. I think the new O-ring should kind of go over that. I guess we'll find out. A lot of these surfaces were there's still even some residue on here. Maybe I should go over this a little bit more just to get that final stuff. This is nice that it's going to get hot tanked after this, because it's, you know, and this surface is still really, really smooth. So like it's a soft wire brush. It's not digging into it at all, and I'm not pushing into it really hard. Okay, I just went over some of these spots again. And here you can see another area where it's pitted from the O-ring right there. These other ones aren't, yeah, right there too, you can see. So it is what it is. All those little little dings in there, that was not me. Like right there. I kind of uncovered those when I was cleaning it. I would never have done this unless I was getting it hot tanked, because it would be like impossible to get all the dust out of here otherwise. There we go. Looks like there's a little filter screen in there. So whatever that is in here. It's this 197 is marked as a filter. This is called the plug, that's called the pipe. But I don't see a way to get to it. I don't see any way to get to it. I'm really more worried about it coming off in like the parts washer and getting lost. Clean these grooves out with acetone. Oh, there is a backup ring in there. I think that's doing the trick. Okay. Nice and easy. Not too bad. A little heavy. Ugh. All right. Don't drop it. There we go. Now I could pull this engine block out right now, or I could just leave it in my truck for the rest of the week and let future Matt deal with it. So it should be pretty clean. There's a lot of white residue on it. That's the soap that they use. It's not actually a hot tank that they have there. It's a jet washer, which is basically just like a giant dishwasher. It's pretty clean. Besides washing it, one thing I had him do was just quickly check over all the O-ring surfaces, make sure they were okay, make sure I didn't mess them up with that wire wheel. Really though, I was most concerned, well actually, let me get the other camera real quick, hold on. So right in here, if I get a good angle, it's like some moisture got behind the O-ring or something. So he described this as less than optimal, but you can't feel it with your fingernail at all on any of these. and he said the same thing. So he said it should be okay. He said he would just go ahead and use it if it was his, but take that for what it is. Is the filter still in there? It is. And it doesn't look all clogged up. I can't go in any further than that. But it looks like there's a little tear in it. Maybe, can't tell. I do have a nice exploded parts diagram. It's 8 pages long and it covers basically the whole thing. I mean, it's different views of it. I think there's one with it broken apart right there with the part numbers. I got about 18,000 O-rings that I got from Deere. These are direct, these are all, some of these are Hitachi. Most of these are Deere though. Unfortunately, a lot of the parts are not the same as what's in here because there's updated part numbers, but I have a cross-check table, which I forgot to print out. So that'll tell me which O-ring goes where. I just kind of have to sort through these. 901. That down. Got all these sorted numerically. I'm missing like a handful. They're being shipped from across the country. These were all in stock in Portland, but everything else was kind of across country. Hopefully I have enough to get started. It was probably a huge time saver just to use the OEM O-rings versus trying to match everything up. I mean, there's so many, whatever it was, 27, 30 or whatever, different part numbers. They're a little bit more expensive. They're like $3 or $4 each, but it works out, I think. So I think the first thing I want to do is put the two halves together. So it takes a lot of parts. Let's see if we can find them all. So this is the way I'm going to do it. So number 10 was 957366. So I'm going to find it on here. Okay, 957. So 981-1201. Where's that? This one. All right. So we got that one. That's good. Just got to repeat this about 40,000 times and I'll be done. 4506320. Now, CH17167. I gave him the quote in numerical order for the original part number, so that's how this is listed. So it's actually kind of easy to find these. 69. Right here. We'll see how this works first. This is just hydraulic fluid. All right, it fits. We're off to a good start. Oh yeah, these will stay in place. So this is going to take a little bit longer to put back together than it did to take apart. 7, 6, 3. Okay, one of these. Okay. Okay, so now if I flip this upside down, are all these going to fall out? Kind of walk around like this. That's heavy. Okay, that might work. Easy. Of course, I have no way of knowing if these are seated. Of course, these are going to stick now, probably, aren't they? Oh. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Yep, we're good. Stay here. Get it started. All right. Get this soap off of here. I don't think it'll damage anything, but might as well clean it off. Okay, first thing to install is the spools. So I gotta rebuild these first. So according to this, the two back spools have different part numbers in the front spool, but these are the O-rings I need. The sawdust should come in handy. Is this going to shoot a spring across? Okay, there's the O-ring right there. There's a spring in here. Plunger. And it looks like right here, this part comes off. And then there's an O-ring under there. Okay, there's the O-ring there. Wow, this O-ring is definitely not good. There's the other spring and plunger. Let that spring go. Did I drop the spring already? Let's use this for now. This is the top. So there's this. This. We got an O-ring. A little tight. The O-ring's extremely tight. So you can warm it up a little bit so it's a little bit more flexible. A lot of heat coming off here. Oh yeah, that is more flexible. Unfortunately, I don't have a way to torque these down, but the numbers were like 9 to 18, not super big. Spring. Wait, this. It's going to be another. Okay, let me go warm up this one. Okay. That one. This, wait. So, this one goes here. Actually, I probably need to tighten that first, huh? Okay, so this one is tightened to 9 foot-pounds, which I'm just going to have to guess, which is not a lot. Yep, it's good. And this one is 18. I did wash these wrenches off with brake clean, by the way. It's probably 18. And tighten this to 7 pound-feet. Not a lot. That's probably good right there. All right. It's nice and good. All right. Seems good. I don't know. That it? Ouch. Nope. By the way, a lot of you guys mentioned doing this, and it's a good idea. So if you notice this giant can of flammable material right next to the open flame, that's brake cleaner. And you can put it in here and pressurize it. And I did the math on how much money this saves. So basically the cheapest cans of brake cleaner I found are like $4 each. But doing it this way brings it down to about $2 each. So I'm almost out of my old cans, and then I'll be switching over to this thing. Okay, well, I'm missing at least one O-ring out of all these, so I'm gonna have to wait. Okay, I got the rest of the O-rings in that I need. That's this one. It's right the same, right? That'll be it right there. Well, these going a lot easier than they came out. That's probably a good sign. There we go. So I think this one has a, yep, this one has a spring in it. A little bit of rust. Ooh, it's a lot of moisture in there too. More of that in there. Hello. All right, almost half done. There's probably like only 5 minutes left in this video because I'm basically done already. Ugh. Okay, so the backup ring is on the nut side, and then the O-ring, do this without scratching it. Ow. That went right into my finger. And one just fell apart. Okay. I gotta go patch up my finger. I don't want to get demonetized. There's a drop of blood here, so I gotta clean this up. Don't want anyone to faint. By the way, if you want this thing to have a fountain like a normal brake cleaner can does, you gotta take this whole fitting off. By the way, some of these are like almost symmetrical. Like you could thread this into either side, but the side with this flat spot here for, you know, assembling and disassembling is always on the bottom, it seems like. Actually, I should probably, this one's really long. Maybe I should do this. Should probably lube these up a little bit better because I think if you lube all this up, the first one's just wiping away the fluid. Yeah, that goes in a lot better. So, by the way, I'm not an expert in this stuff, obviously, but one thing I see that makes me a little bit concerned is like there's rust here, like in these channels, and then like you can see some rust in here. And I have kind of gone over it with a brass brush just to kind of break free anything that's loose. But you know, there's a lot of high volume, high pressure going through right here, and you know, it's possible that rust particles will break off. So, you know, I don't want to go nuts with like a wire brush or anything, like a steel brush to clean this off. I could soak it in evaporust or vinegar or something like that. But I think the best way forward, and this is just my guess, is to be really, really diligent about the hydraulic filters for the first few hours on this machine. And maybe even just swapping out the fluid after, you know, just early on as an insurance measure. And I am washing my hands like every few minutes here. Go. Starting to warm up in here, so I don't need to heat these things next to the heater anymore. All right, so this is the final spool. This is the swing spool, I think. One thing I noticed is the O-rings that I pulled off are like brand new, as opposed to all the other O-rings on all the other spools. Also, the spool cover that covers the 3 spools, that was the one with the broken fastener. So someone, I think recently took it apart and rebuilt this spool in particular, and then replaced that cover and then broke the fastener. Ooh, that one's nice and loose, I guess. Okay, this is the upper pilot housing for the 3 spool section. Now, if you look at the diagram here, so anything that's highlighted yellow, I got the O-rings for, so I got that, and like these 3, and then that, but I did not get the fittings. And the reasoning behind that is these are really easy to replace if I get like a crappy fitting or the wrong size or whatever. So for anything, any external fitting, I'm basically on my own, but I do have O-rings for these. Yeah, I need to wash my hands again. There's like a hologram on here. No wonder this stuff's so expensive. Let's see. Goes on this way. Make sure these don't pop out of here. So if you saw the last video, you'll know that one of these fasteners, I think it was this one, was snapped off. And sometimes when that happens, it's because a caveman has come in and over-torqued everything, maybe to fix a leak. I did notice that one of these spools had new O-rings, so maybe it's related to that. But either way, I got all new fasteners just to be safe. I think a requirement to do this is having a sink nearby, because I'm having to wash my hands basically every 5 minutes to keep the dirt off of them. Okay, next up are these plugs. Now these three are all the same part number. One goes here, one goes there, and one goes there. And then this small one, I'm pretty sure this was the filter one, which was, where was that? That was that one. Is this one of them? I think so. There's no torque spec for this little guy, so just use our best judgment. That's probably it. Okay, next up is the relief valve. So this goes in the top, and then this comes in from the bottom. And I realized I just made a big mistake, and that is, so like this valve, all the parts are broken out and I've ordered everything, but all these other relief valves, let me find one. So like this one is this valve, it just has one part number, but if you look at it, there's an O-ring, there's another O-ring, there's a backup ring. There's probably a different parts diagram just for this. So I think I'm good on this valve, but this valve and then the other three relief valves, I guess it's 6 valves. These all, I need to get all the parts for these, unfortunately, which is going to set me back a couple days. But yeah, none of these got ordered. Look at all the junk in there. Holy cow. What is... Anyway, so I'll go ahead and order those now. There should be some stuff in here, right? Okay. I just broke it free. So there's really no good way to do this, but what I've done is I've marked on here to line up with the slot on the screw head here. I've marked this side so I know I'm not on the wrong, like 180 out. One thread below the bottom of the slot here showing. So I should be able to find it from that and get it, realigned. I really want to replace the O-ring in here though. I think this is just a lock nut, so it's not really critical. That doesn't matter. It's really this and that. We'll find out. Oh, the whole thing's coming out. So this is the O-ring I wanted to replace, and it's quite hard. Here. Ow. Okay. I get it in like that. It would be nice to know if it's in there right, otherwise it's going to throw everything off. Oh, at least you can see it from that side. All right, I can see it sticking through, so I know it's seated. Okay, so now I just need to get that started. Okay. Of course, I also got it seated, get it seated in there. Nope, there we go. That feels good. It's getting dirty in here. I think I got this set back up right. So I have this line. It's lined up right there with that. And then there's one thread below. I think that's right. If not, when I edit this video, I'll know better. This is a two-piece, but there's no O-ring in between it, so I'm not going to take it apart. I don't really see a reason to. I think this is right. It's really bad. This thing is just frozen. Nope. Moved a little bit. Is this like reverse threaded or something? Oh, it was caught on there. Well, that was a problem. Four of these. Oh, quantity 1, but I got 2. Nice. Nice. Lube this up a little bit. Where'd all the dirt come from in there? There. Just got my phone here with a picture. These are supposed to be 36 foot-pounds, which is about like that. Just going to put a plug in here for now because I need to source a new fitting for that one. There was an error in the parts manual. It said you only needed 1 O-ring, but there's 2 plugs. And it says you need 2 plugs, but it only has 1 O-ring listed. Fortunately, I had a generic one. And if it goes out on me, I can always, it's an easy plug to get to. It looks like that went there. This is the bottom of the 4-valve section. Marinate these for a little bit. That one. Same thing up here. Don't want any dry spots. Probably. Uh-oh. I'm just looking at the picture I took before I took it apart, and this is how they were oriented. About. That was that one, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay, next up are the load sensing shuttle valves. So there's 3 here, and then there's 4 on the 4 section. There's 2 different sizes on this 3 section. The longer one goes in the right here, I believe. And they have a different design too. This one comes apart there. There's also some deviation in the directions. There's a plug that goes in after the valve's in there. So for the 3 section, it says you just put it in and torque it to 130 foot-pounds. But for the 4 section, it says you put Loctite on it and torque it to 130 foot-pounds. And I think the reason for that is because this does not appear to be a tapered fitting, and you want to be able to seal that. So I'll be applying Loctite to all of these, even though it doesn't say to do it on here. Ooh, that's... there an O-ring inside of there? No. I don't think it really buys anything to take these apart. You can clean out everything from the side, but whatever. So there is like a filter in that one. Maybe I should take this one apart. This is a little more complicated than the other ones. Make sure the screen's cleared out. Uh-oh. Ah. So there are little indents in here and where these fit in. Why is my hand dirty? Hold on. I got all three in, and I just verified that this little cam that sticks out is locked in. There's like a little groove that it locks into. So I made sure I can't turn any of these. They're all in there. So the manual says to use Loctite 222, which is, I think, is low strength thread locker. Uh-oh. This is medium strength, but I think it'll be okay because this is a pretty large plug. Okay, next up are the holding valves. There's two of them. This is how they're in there. You got a plunger, a spring, and one of these things. Ow! Oh, got it though. Got my finger again with the pick, so not a glove. Jeez, this thing's really loose on here, but it's matches the. Yeah, I'm an idiot. They're on the wrong groove. They go down there. There we go. There's no ring on here yet? Okay. There we go. All right, the last part is the variable pressure compensated valve. So there's a plunger, a spring, then this thing goes into there, and then we have this, which has a O-ring and backup ring. It goes into there, and then we got this little washer thing. So fortunately there's only 2 parts to replace. Definitely need to lube up in here. Unfortunately I found another mistake in the parts diagram. So you can see here there's 2 different ones, A and B. And here it says AABA. So these are the same part numbers, even though it says 217, 317, these are the same, 218, 318. But then when you go out to here, it only calls out 1 of each. So I haven't ordered enough O-rings yet. I have enough to do 2 of these. Uh-huh. Does it matter how these are oriented? There we go. This just goes any which way. So fortunately, I did have a few spare backup rings and O-rings, so I can do all 4 of these. I kind of ordered extra on a few things that there was a lot of. Wait. Go. Okay. I don't think these are supposed to rotate, but I guess that means they're not seized up at least. Why is this not? This is not going in. How did I mix these up? I guess let's just figure out which ones are the tightest. I could have sworn I kept these all together. But maybe I did mix them up. These should all 3 of these should be the same, but then, you know. There we go. I don't think it matters the orientation of these. Sideways might be better so this doesn't slide out. Do that on all these. Even after cleaning these, you take a little bit of acetone and you stick your finger in those O-ring passages and you still get that. So what I've been doing is I've been doing that on all these corners, and then I go and run it back through the cleaner again and re-brake clean it, just so I have a really nice O-ring surface. Like that. Looks like it only goes on one way. These are spaced out more than these. These are in. Well, that's pretty much it for this thing. Actually, it's not. Got new O-rings on these. Get the orientation right on all these 90 degrees. So, down a little bit. There. Okay, now this one's upside down. All right. That. Uh-oh. There we go. These are O-ring faced. Oops. Still have to get all the O-ring face seals for these, but that's fine. I can wait. Let's see if I can sneak these 4 valves in while it's still on the stand. I mentioned it before, but these have like a little lobe on them. And if you look in here, if you look in there, there's a lobe on the bottom there that they kind of fit into. So that one, there we go. So I can't move it now, so it's in. I think that's all there is to it. These take Loctite like the other ones, so I'm just wiping these threads down with some acetone so the Loctite sticks. So get this one in. This one was like 100 and something foot-pounds. So we'll crank it on pretty good here. That's probably good. Okay, well I have to apologize, I guess. We're gonna end the video there. I was hoping to have it all painted and cleaned up, but we ran into a kind of a problem. So I mentioned this before, but in the parts diagram, some of these relief valves are just called out without anything associated with them. Like there's more there. And there's like 7 in total. And you can look at the valve. Here's one right here. I can see like an O-ring, backup ring. And it turns out they're actually a little bit complicated inside. This is the breakdown of one. And there's like 9 or 10 O-ring and backup rings, plus gaskets and other things you're supposed to replace. Ordinarily, this is not a problem. Like as an example, here's the DP sensor, which goes in the block. And there's a breakdown in the parts diagram for it, like a separate page with part numbers for each O-ring and all that. I think this is a mistake, but there's no page in the parts diagram for the 3 or 4 part numbers of these different relief valves. This is the service manual, which shows the breakdown, but it doesn't provide any part numbers. There's nothing in the parts diagram to tell me what all of these things are. So I'm not really sure what to do yet. I was working with the Deere dealership. They helped me with all these O-rings, and they tried it for a little bit, but then they just gave up and stopped returning my calls. Basically, all the local Deere dealership could do for me is they quoted me for 7 new valves, and I think the total was like $3,000 or $4,000. You can find cheap Chinese ones for like $100 each, but still that's like $700, which is more than I want to spend. So the only options I can think of is I can just take one of these apart. Actually, I need to take 2 apart because there's one big one, and then there's 6 that are like the smaller ones for each individual circuit. This is the main one. But anyways, I can take these apart and try to measure what's on here. But these rings are so cooked that, like, if I can see, I don't know. Like I can just tell that there's not much left. I could also buy one of the Chinese generic ones and take that apart and then measure those, since those will be brand new rings. I might be able to find like a Hitachi parts dealer outside of the state of the country that actually supplies for Hitachi. They might know more, but I kind of doubt it. So that's really all I can think of at the moment. If you have any ideas, let me know. But before you mention it, I'm well aware that this machine is almost identical to a Deere 490E. And you can find all the parts diagrams on the Deere website, which I've done and I've looked. And they're almost identical. There's a few differences, like on one page, I think it's maybe this one, they show just these 2 O-rings and that backup ring, like externally here with the part numbers. So I do have those, but nothing internal. So there's no help there. I've been over that whole thing. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to leave it there. It's probably gonna be a while before I get back to this. So I did come through and I stamped these. You probably saw me do it earlier. A 1, 2, 3, and there's a 4, 5, 6, 7 down below. And then I stamped these. So this is a 7 right there. So at least I know where they go. This is all capped up and I can just put it in storage until I figure this out. I still have the solenoid block over here, but I really haven't taken this apart. So I can just kind of, I'll just cap this up and put that in storage as well. I just need to replace some O-rings on here. So we'll do that later. The reason I don't want to paint this, by the way, is because these are all O-ring sealing surfaces. And if I start spraying paint on there, it's just going to cause me more grief. So hopefully I was able to convey kind of how I did things. But in case you missed it, basically I put it back together in the order that I had taken it apart. All the little individual sub-assemblies I took apart, and then I washed them in the parts washer, then I brake cleaned them, then I oiled them up and installed them. I didn't show it every step of the way because it's extremely boring to do, but I did do that for every step. Being completely inexperienced like myself, it was extremely helpful to have the OEM parts here because I could easily just follow along in the parts diagram, and I had the cross-reference with the new part numbers. Just have to stay organized and take your time. But it was really not that bad. I realize there's a lot of parts that go into this, but it's not that bad, honestly. That's gonna be it for this video. Probably a long, dry, boring video. I shot a lot of footage. There was a lot of steps to do this. It took a lot of time. I think it took me like 3 weeks to do this. I mean, there was some breaks in there, but so anyway, it's over. The next video is gonna be on the engine. I got all the parts back finally. I got the block, injection pump, all the parts I need. Whoa. That is a big one. So anyway, that'll hopefully be a little more interesting for you out there. If you made it this far, thanks for watching.